Welcome to Dadvice, the podcast that explores the unique journey of fatherhood in today's ever-evolving society. I'm your host, Sean, along with
Chance,
and we're going to embark on a heartfelt exploration that truly means to be a dad in the 21st century.
Today's dads are nurturing, involved, deeply committed in their children's well-being and development.
On Dadvice, we'll dive into a myriad of experiences, challenges, and joys.
And the pride that comes from being a positive influence in their lives.
This podcast isn't just for dads, though. It's for anyone interested in understanding the modern-day family.
So whether you're an expectant dad, a seasoned father, or simply curious about the evolving role of dads in society, join us on Dadvice. Together we'll learn, grow, redefine what it means to be a father in today's ever-changing world.
Welcome to the third episode. Episode 1 was just us clowns. Episode 2 was our daughters.
Yeah.
And now the truth comes out in episode 3 with our wives.
Anybody else nervous?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be some honesty here that may not reflect as well on us. Welcome.
Yeah, this could be a part 1, 2, maybe 3, depending on.
So,
here we go.
Welcome to my wife, Megan. I'm Sean, by the way.
Yeah, this is my wife, Amber. I'm Chance, also, by the way.
We're back again.
Got it.
Dadvice.
That got me.
It's been a long week.
Yeah, it's been a long week.
So, ladies, thanks for joining us on the Dadvice podcast.
Did we really have a choice?
Right.
I feel like you had a choice.
You never do anything I tell you to do directly.
Never.
Ever.
Yeah.
So tonight we just want to sit down and talk about your guys' ambitions as in careers and what it's like to be a mom and have to deal with your grown children and husbands, and maybe some things that we do well or you do well, or things that we should work on, or things that we can talk about for other relationships for people out in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, this is going to be a fun night of let's talk about somebody else.
So let's start and get a little basis. And Amber, give us the 30-second elevator speech that is the story of Chance and Amber.
Chance and Amber dated for 4 years. Got married. We've been married for 22 years.
Very nice.
Just celebrated our 22nd anniversary.
With a nice little getaway for just the two of you.
It was very nice.
Man, it was nice.
Very nice.
And you have a multitude of children.
We do. We have 4 kids and 1 foster daughter.
Very nice.
2 dogs.
2 dogs.
Houseful.
Houseful.
Yes.
Houseful. And Megan, what's our story?
So Sean and I are high school sweethearts.
Woo woo.
We started dating when I was 15, and we have now been married 16 years.
Yeah.
So, and we have 3 kiddos.
I love it.
2 dogs that I don't like.
And a cat.
I like the cat.
You have a cat?
We do have a cat.
Oh, I knew that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
The
She's a
cat's
pretty
my
cool cat.
favorite animal in the house.
Yeah.
She requires the least from me.
I feel like this is where... Oh, I get that.
I mean, Gracie already tried to give away one of our dogs. So
Yeah.
On our last week's podcast.
podcast. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, that is true.
yeah. Mhm.
Maybe they should be our first giveaway.
Right. You can have a German Shepherd.
So,
I love it.
starting it off, what do you guys see as the role of wife? How do you define that role?
Oh, goodness.
Man. Who's going to serve that up first?
We're getting right into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Put us
are.
on the spot.
Can I just say, like, for as far as like we're concerned, like
Yeah.
our relationship?
I would.
Okay. So like for us in our marriage, I feel like me as a wife, I look at my role as just being supportive and sometimes making you think through things
It's fair.
before you make rash decisions. I don't know. I mean, we don't do like the whole traditional like house roles as far as like I cook and clean and you work, all of that stuff.
Oh,
no, actually, Sean's the only one that cooks. I don't cook. So,
True story.
Yeah, I don't cook. So I don't know. I just think like when I look at it as obviously raising the kids, and I try and keep the house together and whatnot. But as a wife, just being supportive of you.
Fair enough.
So,
Amber?
Wow.
I think for us it's similar, but we do have a pretty traditional household, I would say. I think, my role is to be supportive of him and also
This is recording.
help him with his rash decisions.
You're not very good at that one.
I'm not sometimes. I'm not.
Is that why we get along so well?
I will admit that. But we do have a pretty traditional home. I stay at home with our kids, even though I do work. I work from home. But my kids come first. My family comes first. So those priorities are higher than anything else. I do cook the majority of the meals. Chance does, occasionally.
The majority of the eating.
He does the majority of the eating, yes, but he does occasionally step in and cook.
I cooked tonight.
You did.
What'd you make for dinner?
Steak and chicken.
Ooh-wee.
Here, I mean, if I'm cooking, you're gonna get a hamburger or
something on the grill.
steak or chicken.
But the majority of the time, I am the one that cooks.
100%.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. It's so funny with you two, right? Like I feel like we're doing it wrong. You're gonna go, hey, listen, you guys are doing this wrong.
You know those rash decisions we were talking about?
Yeah.
You're doing it right now.
Yeah. Look around. You've made one, and we should have stopped it, and we didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine. We can always look at them and say, well, I was also your decision too. So
Yeah.
True story.
Yeah. Yeah. That's before we taught you how decisions will get you in trouble. That's right.
fair enough.
That's right.
So how do you guys balance career and mother and wife and also not lose your own individuality?
I think that was lost a long time ago.
Yeah.
I think for me, like I said, I work from home. I kind of set my own hours. So again, I take care of the kids, get them off to school. And then I think for me right now, kind of my work is where I kind of have my identity. That's where I get to be teacher and friend and coworker and things like that. And so, as far as going out with friends or things like that, it doesn't really happen often. I'm not saying that I don't do it, but it just doesn't happen as often as probably should. But
Yeah, I would agree. I think for me, my work is a lot of my identity. And it's hard to balance owning a business and making sure the kids have what they need for school and, being everything to everyone that you have to be. For me, because I own my own business, I do have the luxury of setting my own hours, which sometimes is a negative thing because I work way more than I probably should. I have a hard time setting boundaries. So I don't know. I mean, I force myself to do things certain days, but it's nice. I have some flexibility. So like if I want to go get my nails done, I can go get my nails done and nobody's telling me, not to. But I spend a lot of my time as far as like filling my bucket with the people I work with. And a lot of the families and, dance moms that I've made friends with. And if I go out with friends, it's usually with the dance moms.
Well, I feel like we're all in that phase of life where our friends, you've got friends, but the people that you're most likely to spend time with are those that your children are sharing interest with because that's where you're naturally at.
That's where you're spending most of your time.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really hard to carve out that extra time beyond that, especially because I like to go to bed early.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
Right.
So I've got a question for you. Sean and I talk about this a little bit. This thing called dad guilt, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we actually just talked to a friend of ours a couple of weeks ago, and she was talking about how she thought she just had mom guilt and dad guilt wasn't a thing. And here I am thinking, is there mom guilt? So somebody who owns their own business, right? Somebody who is working from home and trying to manage a house and do all that. Where does the mom guilt come in?
I don't know that it ever leaves.
It doesn't. It never leaves. I feel like it's constant.
Yeah, it's a constant thing. I think for me personally, it can be as simple as one of the kids wanted something specific for dinner and didn't get it, and so then I feel guilty for not making them a separate dinner or not making what they wanted, or you know, I mean.
So you wear that, right? Like if they say, hey, oh, I wanted macaroni and cheese, you don't just, yeah, it's cool to want something, right? But I made
do
this
to them, but then I stew on it later and feel guilty for
Really?
not doing something for them. And
Yeah, I think I can at least speak to Amber and I. We're both very type A personalities. We can be people pleasers, and it's hard to take that on as a mom. Mom guilt is definitely a real thing anyways. And then if you add that on top of it, it's like you never feel like you're doing enough for everyone.
yes,
I got you.
So
So do you feel like your needs are the ones that disappear first in that?
oh,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
What could we do as husbands to help you guys with that? How can we better support?
I mean, I feel like you do a really, really good job of, like I said, you make dinner. Because of my job, I work a lot of nights. And so you take on a lot of that evening role of picking the kids up from school and getting them to where they need to be, or, doing bedtime routine and all of that stuff. And you always are harping on me to, like, you need to go do something for yourself. You need to go, and I'm always like, I don't have time. When am I supposed to do it? So I feel like you do a really good job of that. At least encouraging me to do it. I don't do it, but
Yeah.
Chance does the same for me. He'll encourage me to do, go hang out with friends. Or several months ago, back in February, he was like, you're leaving this weekend and you're not coming home. I don't care where you go or who you go with, but you're going to pick a friend or somebody and you're going to go. And so I called my best friend in Oklahoma and I said, hey, so listen, I have nowhere to be this weekend. So you want to meet? And she was like, yes, absolutely. It happened to be a good time for her as well. And I think even with taking on this second kind of job that I've done and now working some nights and being a little more busy, he's really stepped up with, taking care of dinner because I have to be there early and making sure that the kids are good to go. And if he needs to handle bedtime, and he does all of that. And so he's been really supportive in that with something that I've wanted to do. And
he's Mr. Coach Amber.
he is.
Yeah. I have a hoodie that says that.
I know, I love it.
So let me dive down a little further, and we're going to get a little more serious now. And so when you argue, because I'm not going to say if you argue, because hopefully you argue when we fellowship. I don't mean hope you argue. That came out wrong. Sorry. Do you feel like there's some mom guilt mixed in with arguments? Like, do you feel like maybe you didn't please? I don't know. I feel like some of that dad guilt when we have some ridiculous arguments. Some of it is the dad guilt that we've never really talked about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As dads, we kind of don't. And so do you feel like some of that mom guilt's in the way? Like when you step back from the argument, you're like, okay, that was 70% them, 30% the rest of life.
Yeah, I think so.
I feel that way because I feel like, did I give everyone enough of my time
Yeah.
today? Did I give you enough time? Did I give this kid enough time? That's where I feel like that all kind of comes in. And then I'm like, it may bounce off to you, and I don't mean for it to, but it does.
Well, and I think for me, when I'm overwhelmed or feeling the mom guilt more heavily, I'm probably quicker to take it out on him. I'm probably shorter fused and quicker to get upset about stupid little things that I normally wouldn't be upset about.
Right.
Which I think is natural because I think our relationship as well as your guys' relationship is on sturdy enough ground that you're picking the person that you know is going to take it.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're not going to run away on you.
Right.
That's pretty typical when you're releasing that. It's usually at somebody that you feel safe enough to release it at.
Yeah. I've noticed that I used to sit back and go, man, some people are a little more wound up than other people. And now I think what I'm learning is I have a job that I don't have to hold stuff in or save face, or you know what I mean? I don't have a whole bunch of little 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old, all the way up to my 17-year-old.
Yeah.
I don't have eyes watching me. And so there's a part of me that always was curious with teachers and coaches and all that. When you get home, do you feel like you can finally just let your hair down and go, God, I don't have to put up, I don't want to say a fake. You're not fake.
Right,
That's not what I'm saying.
right.
But you are a business owner.
Yeah.
The entire time we're in
Not
there,
on
right?
stage.
Right.
Yeah, I think for me, because I used to be a teacher, and so when I was in the classroom, it wasn't even so much for the kids, and even as a studio owner, it's not so much for the kids, because I feel like I'm who I am with the kids regardless, but the parents.
Right.
I feel like I'm always like, I have to be very careful with the way I say things to certain parents because I don't want to offend them or upset them.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's my livelihood. But so I think it's more that side of it for me versus like the kids side. But yeah, I can see how like when I get home, I'm just like, I don't have to do that. Like I can be brutally honest with him.
Right. Well, and I think that's it, right? For you have to, like I said, not put on a fake, but you're talking to second graders all day. So you have to kind of have this filter on you of, whatever it is, right? It's a show for perhaps, right? We're lucky enough to work in that field that if I hurt your feelings, I'm not sure I care, or that you care that I hurt your feelings.
I think it's just different. Managing adults in an environment that doesn't revolve around children, because you guys have both chosen careers that revolve around people's most precious thing. Thing doesn't feel right to say.
I know what you mean though.
Joy.
Man,
Joy. And we're not
start this over. I have 5 things.
Yeah.
I like that.
Thing one.
Thing 1. Yeah.
So the stakes are different.
Yeah.
As a teacher and running the studio, you guys are dealing with people's children, and everybody's, got strong feelings about that. So in our businesses, that's not the same.
That's true.
So balancing career, children, household, there's lots of different philosophies on once you have kids, whether your spouse comes first or your kids come first or this comes first or that. What are your guys' philosophies on that? What's the pecking order? And this is a polarizing topic.
I always try to put Chance first, always, and let him know that he's first before the kids. And sometimes I even I get kind of selfish of his time. Like he'll come home from work and I'm like, I got to tell you this and this and this and this. And I'm like, kids, you can't, I'm talking to your dad, and it's, I just am, so used to for so long without having kids there, being able to just be us and have that conversation. And so it's been a little bit of a learning curve for me to allow the kids to have their time as well, but I need mine first. But I always try to put him first, and he's number one.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I try to always put you first. Hopefully you feel like I do, but
How?
that's scary.
I just left that hanging, didn't I?
You did.
He's like,
He's like, oh, I don't know.
That was one of the greatest moments. Let's see.
So, you see many marriages that get kids raised out of the house and then split up because it ended up being roommate mode for many, many years because you get so focused. And it's really easy to slide into this daily role of your career and your children and all
Just
those
being
things.
busy.
And just being busy and just cohabitating. So what do you do to check that, to keep that from happening, to keep the dating life live?
It's hard. I mean, we've had lots of conversations about not letting it get to roommate status when we're, running around like crazy, getting kids to and from activities and everything. I mean, we do very simple things. Like our kind of daily routine is once the kids go to bed, we lay in bed and watch TV. And we usually have some show we're binging or whatever. And even though like we can sit there and say absolutely nothing to each other, it's still quality time that we're spending together. For us, I will say one of your love languages for sure is quality time.
Yeah, I agree.
And I have noticed that when we get kind of snippy at each other or are quicker to get in a disagreement about something, it's usually because we haven't had that quality time.
Right.
We've been so busy and we haven't spent time together. So we try and do dates, even if we're kind of notorious for like, let's just run to Taco Bell last night.
I was about to say.
Last night, got home from auditions. It was probably 10:30. We were laying in bed and I was like, I'm kind of hungry. She was like, I'm hungry too. You want to go to Taco Bell? So we literally went to Taco Bell. Just the two of us.
Just the two of us.
I love it. It's like, we do a lot of that kind of stuff. Like, I just got to run here really fast.
Yeah.
Come with me. So that we can spend at least 15 minutes of uninterrupted kid-free time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's kind of how ours have been. I mean, we try to do date nights every now and then. Our recent vacation or weekend that we went, that's the first time we've actually gone away somewhere for the last, what did we say, 10 years?
10 years, yeah.
That's crazy.
For an entire weekend. But our babysitter even will laugh at us when we're like, we call and ask her, you know, can you babysit the kids? We're going to have a date night. And she'll every time say, don't go to the grocery store. Because that's usually what we do is we go to the grocery store or we go run errands. Yeah. But for us, it's that quality time that we have together, whether it's we're running to the store or whatever we're doing. Yeah. We're doing it together and we have that time, just us, to be able to talk. And so it's always been a joke that when she comes over, she's like, now don't go to the grocery store. And we're like, we can't make any promises.
Well, and I think it's because, like, I don't know if it's a, society thing, whatever, but it doesn't, like, in my opinion, it doesn't have to be like, oh, we're going to go to dinner and then we're going to go to a movie and I have to get dressed up. And like, that's just, we're too busy. It's just not me. Yeah. Like,
well, I think you touched on something, and it's something I'm learning and trying to learn, but it's intimacy outside the bedroom.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I'm trying to learn. And that's what keeps you out of the roommate status, right? Is going, hey, grab a hand.
Yeah.
Even if we're walking into Target or walking somewhere, is being intentional about your actions. And see, I know it. I don't always do it.
Fair enough.
But I if you sit me down, I'll think about it. But,
yeah.
So it's kind of interesting when you said just not going to roommate status.
Yeah, I think that's something that you have to really diligently work at and also be willing to communicate. We talked a lot about communication with our daughters. Same sounds here. I mean, communicating it and understanding that your spouse is coming from a place of love when they say, I feel like your roommate right now. Like, I don't feel seen. Megan and I were taught from another couple in church a bunch of years ago, a method they use that we still use to this day. And it's just a check-in method. So I'll look at her and I'll say, how am I doing as a father? How am I doing as a husband? And what I'm telling her without saying it is, I am in a place to take whatever you're going to say to me and receive it.
Oh,
I'm not going to take what you say to argue or to turn it into something. I'm going to receive how you feel about it. And then we're going to have a conversation about that in a non-defensive way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And those conversations, I remember we came back from a church retreat one year at the Lake of the Ozarks. We started that question as we pulled out of the parking lot of the retreat and finished it pulling into our driveway.
Oh, wow.
It was 2.5 hours of the most honest conversation. And it's not always this bad beatdown. So like, don't take that spin on it. Sometimes it's just like, hey, I know you're really busy and work's been a grind. But I noticed that your socks have been laying on the end of the bed a lot lately.
It's driving me crazy.
It's driving can you help me? That would go a long way for me. And it's those little things that now I know that bothers her. Now it's on me to go, we've talked about it. I need to hear her needs and go after it. I think when we think about needs, sometimes we're thinking these big massive things.
Right.
And the devil's in the details, really.
Well, and it goes back to the love languages thing, like I was talking about. I think knowing your spouse's love language, and honestly, your kids and friends,
Right.
everything. I think that says a lot because, like for me, my love language is acts of service. He could care less about acts of service.
Yeah.
Like it does nothing for him. But you come home and clean the house for me, and I'm gonna be like the best thing in the world.
Yes.
So I think just being aware of how to love others in a way that they need to be loved
I like that.
is
Yeah.
really important.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Anything to add to that one? What's my love language?
I don't remember. It's been a long time since we've done them. I know that's terrible, and I probably should know it. But
Are you serious?
I know one of them is physical touch.
Hey.
Same.
I think that's most guys
That's most
in all
guys.
reality.
Yeah.
I know that was your number one.
Is there any more? I
There
think
was,
that was it.
there was two that were like right, your first and second, and I can't remember it.
Quality time.
Probably
Quality time, that was it.
Yeah.
That's right.
Physical
Yeah.
touch and quality time.
Those are
mine.
yours. Yep.
Yours are acts of service and probably
Acts of service is my big one.
main one. Yeah.
That was my main one. Was acts of
Yeah.
service.
With closely behind it was words of affirmation.
words of affirmation. Yes.
Hey man, you're doing all right.
I was gonna say I'm probably that or quality time.
Sometimes
Those
it's
two are
just
probably close.
nice to hear somebody say,
Yes.
"You're doing a great
You're
job,"
doing okay.
Yeah.
whether it be at home or at work or wherever it is.
Yeah.
It's-
So, you guys learned that. Amber and I just recently learned a little tactic called positive, negative.
I was
positive.
getting ready to mention that.
Yeah. Do you want to talk? You want to
go
talk about
ahead.
it?
Why don't you guys, instead of talking about it, do it
Oh, okay.
on the podcast?
Oh,
Gosh, I'm so excited for
On
this.
the podcast,
On the
like you're
podcast.
putting me on the spot.
Wait, who's doing the positive sandwich? Am I telling her or is she telling
Both of you. Each
oh
other.
goodness.
You should probably go first. Or do you want me to go first?
No, I'll go first.
Okay.
So, my first positive is that you spent time with me this morning, even though I know you wanted to mow the lawn and get that done, but you went with me and spent time with me this morning. My negative is
Oh, wait. Thank you.
that you got a little frustrated with me today, and you got a little heightened with your voice, and but we figured it out.
Thank you.
And my other positive is that you fixed dinner and then you cleaned up tonight for me.
I did both.
Yes.
Thank you.
He didn't even remember he did both. He was like, wait, I did? Did both of those
I
things?
did better than I thought.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
Chance.
So the way you loved the kids this morning when they got up, that was an awesome thing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I always say you're welcome. That's the Southern in me. I apologize.
I like it.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not always attacking you when I'm disagreeing with you.
That sounds like something
Thank
Sean
you.
would say.
Yeah.
Like that, yeah.
The other part was after we had our argument and we talked about it like grown adults. It was a perfect day after that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I like that.
So part of that whole process is the positive, negative, positive. When we're speaking and telling those to each other, the only thing that you can say is thank you.
Yep.
You are not allowed to say, but I did it this way, or but I
Right.
said, and that's to hopefully kind of diffuse it so it doesn't become a disagreement or an argument or anything like that, but also to acknowledge those positives, but also be able to say, this hurt my feelings or this upset me or whatever. And
Yeah.
so Chance and I have done that. We went to a class at church, a marriage class, and they had us do it right there with all these people in the room, doing it. And it was really hard at first. Like, it was like, I don't want to be negative. I don't
Yeah.
want to say the negative stuff and
Yeah.
do that. But so we started kind of doing it every day, and we've kind of gotten a little bit away from it where we're not doing it
It
every
became
day.
easier for her to tell me the negative.
No, it didn't. But it was kind of nice every day to then be able to say, just like that, when he would come to me with a negative, I had to think about it. But then, if we decided to discuss it later, that was fine. But
Yeah.
most of the time, we haven't really.
Yeah.
It's kind of been that this
Well-
is what upset me or this was my negative, and we just kind of moved on. And
We kind of cheated because it does a couple more things. Really, you're supposed to wait 24 hours before you say it can't be anything that happened today.
Gotcha.
And what that does is kind of chews up the little things and just kind of throws them out. And so what you're left with is a real emotion of, hey, these two things really stood out to me, and this one thing kind of hurt me. And what I've found is if you know it's not going to be a big argument, you're more willing to say it, right? Like there's some things you're like, I'm not even going to bring that up because it's just going to turn into an argument.
But the beauty of it is you're releasing something that you're not holding on to.
Right.
And a solid conversation in the future may come out of something in that conversation. And that's in my opinion, the realest thing we can do for our spouses in marriage is put ourselves in those places to receive those things and have good conversation, because that keeps you in a place of health.
I love it. Yeah.
And I think that's helped us because I tend to not be the talker. He is. And so he wants to talk everything out.
Who's shocked?
I want to I want to hold it all in because I'll just deal with it internally and I'm fine and we'll move on later, or I'll explode and everything will come out and he's like, that happened like 8 months ago. And I'm like, well, sorry, I'm just now getting it out, And so that's kind of helped us a lot with being able to, then we can say, okay, is this something we need to discuss further, or nope, I'm good, I got it out, and we can move on. And
I don't mean to keep beating on this thing, but another thing that I noticed when she says the things that hurt her, and just thank you is all that's done, you end up self-reflecting on that.
Yeah.
And then what comes out of that is a true apology, right? Like you come at night and go, hey man, I didn't even mean to make you feel that way.
Right.
And so,
because we've taken our emotion out of the reaction in that way. You're allowing Amber to feel how she feels without attaching yourself to it.
Yeah.
In that exact second.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you tend to do, you know what? The mom guilt, the dad guilt, the husband guilt. I'm sure there's wife guilt, right? When you start saying you did this, I mean, that guilt just starts piling up and you're just like, okay, I can't take it anymore, right? So this kind of helps sit there and go, okay, it's not just an attack session. Like I really did offend you in some way. Yeah.
But it's kind of nice too, because there have been times that we both are like, I don't have a negative. Like I don't have anything. And so we'll just do the positives and
Right.
that still is nice.
Makes you reflect on that. Same thing.
I mean, that those are things that we can continue for one another. And there wasn't a negative, and so
it's good to celebrate
it is
that.
nice.
Yeah.
You got to celebrate those wins.
Yes.
Well, and what just happened right in front of you guys. I didn't tell Amber today the way she loved on those kids this morning. Had me standing in the kitchen going, you're a pretty good mama, right? And so I got to just then, hey, you're a pretty good mama.
Thanks.
Thank you guys for being vulnerable in the moment. And that's one of the core issues in marriage, in my opinion, in America, is when spouses stop being vulnerable with each other and completely open and wide honest to let the relationship flourish. We start putting our spins and our things in it, and then it gets hard. It gets hardened.
Yeah. Well, I think the hard part is just not giving up, right? The hard part is not going, whatever he did today, he's going to do it again tomorrow, and he's going to do it again tomorrow, so why bother, right? It's having that tenacious attitude to go, you'll get it right one day.
How do you guys, we've both talked about church in our discussion tonight. How does church, how does God, how does Jesus practically center your relationships with kids and spouse on a regular basis?
That's loaded. That's loaded. It was very hard for me not to just take off.
You can jump in too.
Oh, no.
It's for all of us.
I want to hear, I mean, yeah, go ahead.
That's a hard one.
Oh.
I mean, I think I always try and be mindful and prayerful about, especially decisions we're making, and decisions when it comes to the kids, and not letting our worldly just everything take over and be like, well, this sounds good because this was an opportunity that was presented, versus thinking through like, okay, this is an opportunity that was presented, but like, is it going to glorify God? And I know we've had lots of conversations more husband and wife conversations versus like dad and mom conversations about like life things as far as jobs or careers. I mean, I quit teaching to open a studio, and it was very much like I felt like this is what God was telling me to do, and I couldn't make that decision on my own. And so we had long conversations about it. When he's had job things, we've had lots of conversations about like, well, you know, do you feel like this is what God's wanting you to do? And
So, Amber, same question to you. How does Christ center in your household?
I think very similar to what she has said. I mean, any decisions that we make, we always say, or, you know, chances come to me several times about a promotion at work or something like that. And I'm like, I stand behind you, but have you prayed about it? You know, are you sure this is where God wants you? And even with us moving, we moved several times throughout our marriage. When we had the opportunity to move here to Missouri, I was very much like, yes, let's go. And then he was a little more like, okay, let's step back. Let's think about, you know, and I'm like, okay, yes. So pros and cons, let's pray about it. And then that was one of the biggest things was we really felt God moving us here. Now we kind of understand a little more on why he moved us here, but
It became clear.
Yes, it became very clear. But just, I think with that, we both are very, I think, encouraging to one another when it comes to, have you prayed about it? Let's pray about it together. You know, we do it with our kids.
Yeah.
Nevaeh very much will come to us with issues she's having or concerns with something or, you know, a big test or something like that. And Chance always says, okay, you've talked to mom about it. You've talked to me about it. What else do you need to do? And she's like, I need to talk to God about it.
Right. Well, and Gracie will come to us and I'll regularly ask her, what scripture say about it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then so there's times where I'll stop the conversation and send her away until she can come back with that first. Because we want the conversation to be rooted in that.
Right.
And then our input to support what scripture says.
Right.
And not for us to give direction and go hope to find scripture to support it.
Yeah.
right.
You know?
Yeah.
And I want to build in that track in her head that says, I don't know what to do here. What do I do? Well, go to God, go to scripture, go to mom, go to dad. That's the order.
Yep.
That's the trust order of where I go. And same for us, you know, go to God, go to scripture, go to my spouse. You know, if I'm not going to her first, we're out of order.
Oh, yeah. Yep. No, I think that's really good. I think the four of us are blessed with some older, I mean, all of our kids are a blessing, but our kids that are about to step into the world have a pretty good head on their shoulders. And I think we've instilled some pretty good beliefs in those guys to just cope and deal with the world that is today.
So
A whole other topic.
we've been pretty serious so far.
We have been very serious.
We have been.
Yeah.
It's like, man,
Yeah.
Deep.
Yeah.
What's a funny story about your wife, Chance?
Do you want to?
jeez.
So
Oh, boy.
we used to have a quote board up. Amber's known around the house to say things that make you, and she usually says them in haste, right? Like she's very serious about it, and so but it just throws you back. For example, she said, "What?
Are you going to tell the bowling one?
Yeah, it's my favorite."
What?
We went bowling one night, and she was like, "Hey, honey, if I bowled an 80 in my first game and an 80 in my second game, what's my average?"
But as soon as I said it, I was like, wait.
Well, teacher, it's 80.
It's 80.
This is going to blow your socks off. It's 80. She came out and she goes, "You think we can deep fry potato chips?" You mean again?
Okay.
You want to do it one more time? I love it. There's a lot of them.
Maybe you can bread it and then deep fry it.
Yeah.
Add a little something to it.
Chance gets very irritated about my clumsiness.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another great story. Should I tell another one?
We'll come back. Let's let Megan
come
go.
back.
Oh gosh.
I'm so excited for this one. This is actually why I'm here.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Dirt on me.
Yeah. It got
Wait, I'm telling you something about you?
Yes.
I thought you were saying a funny story about me.
Oh, that is
Oh,
true.
we'll get there.
I don't know.
Oh, wait.
I mean, I probably have tons, but I'm not good on the spot. Funny story about Sean.
I guess we'll just sit here quietly and stare at you until you get uncomfortable.
So it's not really funny. I mean, it's more like a why are you such an idiot kind of story.
Oh,
Can I go there?
these are exact stories I'm looking for.
So a few years ago, we were on our way down to a friend's lake house. And Sean had gone down ahead of us. And he's like, oh yeah. Sean had gone down with one of the guys, and his wife and I were with the kids, and we were headed down. And we were probably 30 minutes into the drive, and my friend gets a text from her husband that says, Sean cut his hand open, we're headed to the hospital. I was like, wait, what?
Oh,
So we still had, an hour and a half drive ahead of us. Come to find out, he and this buddy had were in a field
this is
shooting guns.
This is going to be good.
And he thought it would be a great idea to open a can of ammo with his knife, and missed it and sliced his hand open.
You're trying to be Johnny Rambo.
Yeah.
It was.
Sliced his hand open. Mind you, they're 45 minutes from the nearest hospital.
We're not close to anything.
No, they're in the middle of nowhere. So I think you took your shirt off and tied it around your hand. I don't know.
Just like John Rambo would do.
Right. Got to the hospital, was bleeding all over the floor, and finally looked at one of the nurses and was like,
No,
are you gonna...
I went in and I sat there forever. And so I bleed through the first Band-Aid or bandages. The nurse rewraps my hand out in the waiting room. And the check-in nurse, charge nurse, comes over a few minutes later because I'm bleeding on the floor. And she looks at me and she goes, sir, I really can't have you bleeding on the floor of the ER. And I looked at her and I was like, what exactly would you like me to do? I've been here for 2.5 hours, and my hand, I took the bandage off and you could see down in my hand.
Yeah, it was bad.
And
It was bad.
she looked at it and she goes, oh, let's go back now. And I was like,
Thanks.
cool.
Yeah, I cut my hand.
So all of this occurred...
On a Thursday.
Yeah, and I'm literally driving with all the kids in
And
the
it didn't
car.
help that we got in the truck and got on the road and I called her and I wasn't completely together. And all I said to her was, I got hurt. We're on the way to the hospital. And then I hung up. And she knew we were down there shooting. So she's like,
I thought he got shot.
Oh,
I was like, what do you mean?
wow.
do you not have more faith in Kyle and I than I would get shot?
Really?
Yes, really.
Wait, Kyle? My best friend Kyle?
No, different guy.
different guy.
I was like, no way.
Let's just say you guys have gotten yourselves into lots of predicaments. So
But we've never shot each other
true story.
to this day.
True
Still
story.
haven't.
Everybody has a highlight.
She called back and I just handed the phone to Kyle and he explained it better than I did.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So,
Are you about to tell a funny Megan story?
oh gosh.
I was going to let Amber go
Why?
because it's going to make me laugh.
I'm going to tell the Uncle Sissy.
Oh, my gosh.
So Chance's nieces and nephew have referred to him as Uncle Sissy for quite some time, pretty much our entire marriage.
I think I just lost the title last year.
Yeah. I think one of the girls still calls you Uncle
Okay.
Sissy, but
All right, tell your story.
so when we were living in Texas, took them all to
Six Flags over
Six
Texas.
Flags. That's what it is. And Chance and I decide we're going to ride the Superman. If you've never been on it, you sit in it and it shoots up and then all of a sudden it drops down and then it shoots up,
Did you scream?
He did, and he screamed so loud that they were all on the
could
ground
hear
and
him?
could hear him from the very top.
That's amazing.
And said he was screaming like a high-pitched shrill. And so since that day,
You know me.
they
I
have
like
called him
theatrics.
Uncle Sissy.
Well,
So
I mean,
welcome to Dad Advice with Sean and Uncle Sissy.
I mean, you don't even ride rides, so
Oh,
I don't.
thank
and I won't.
you. Thank
won't.
don't
you.
ride anything.
No,
You know why? Because you'll scream if you get on them.
I don't like them.
I was
Straight up.
just to be clear, I was doing it for theatrics. It was
Liar.
The fear was there. And I could not stop laughing. I couldn't catch my breath. I was laughing so hard. They're all down on the ground screaming and laughing. And
what was that about? Put you first? 'Cause
She put you first. For sure.
all right, let me hear this Megan story. I'm ready.
Megan stories.
Scared.
Gosh.
I feel like that should be a soundbite and now a segment into Dadvice, and where it just goes, Megan story.
I'm scared.
I'm scared.
So this is going to be all over the place. First date.
Oh, our first date?
What was he wearing?
Oh gosh, I have no like gym shorts and a t-shirt, maybe.
Okay.
True story.
Life's changed a lot.
I'm in golf shorts and a t-shirt today. Thank you. Golf shorts.
I said
the
it's
listeners.
changed. I said it's changed.
Golf shorts.
What was she wearing?
That's what I should have told.
Oh wait, was that right? First, was that right? Was that what you were wearing?
I have no
Oh,
idea.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was like a Tuesday night.
You were probably wearing Sophie shorts and a t-shirt
Probably.
because that's what you lived in.
100.
Were you a 2-roll or a 1-roll?
One roll.
Oh, get you a 1-row girl. Just see the tag. That's
Yep,
all.
that's it. That's what I should.
Yeah,
that's
it's
the
a
story I
small-
should have told.
What's that?
Sloppy Salmon's game.
Oh,
Sean asked the first time we like actually hung out. So we had like our first date on like a Tuesday, and then on Saturday, some seniors in our high school would play like they played in an indoor soccer league, and so we went to their game. And Sean asked my best friend at the time if he could hold my hand.
I was
It's
super
like-
smooth
he
in
was
high
like,
school.
"Do you think I could hold her hand?"
oh.
Super
She's like,
confidence.
"Well, she came with you."
I thought you were asking like straight permission. Like he was. You were
Oh
trying
no,
to
he
be all.
didn't. No, he didn't ask me.
You
He
say,
asked
"Hey,
my best friend
hey."
if he could. Think it'd be okay?
She was a hard read.
Yeah,
She was-
still is kind of.
I'm a hard read.
Well, I feel like you're mad at me sometimes.
Chance, I'm always mad at you.
But maybe you're not a hard read. Maybe you're just mad at me.
You're just mad.
There's a good chance.
Yeah.
I mean, you do complain about a lot of things.
Listen. Just want you to know I'm there. That's it. Oh man, that's so good. All right, so where I interrupted.
First date. That's what we were talking about. What you had on.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So what was first date? Where'd you go?
His basement.
What?
That sounds bad. That sounds really bad.
I'm gonna let you explain. You tell the story however
Okay.
you wish.
So my best friend at the time and one of his very good friends at the time were dating.
Okay.
And so my friend called. She was like, "Hey, I got this guy I want you to meet. He's a friend of Kevin's. Let's go hang out at his house and watch a movie." I was like, "Okay, cool." So it was a Tuesday night. We went over to his house and watched Silence of the
Silence of the Lambs.
Lambs. Terrible.
Romantic.
Kept her sitting close.
It's genius.
And that was it. That was
Yeah.
first date.
Fell in
First
love.
I don't know about that.
I can't believe after the first 2 dates you
I-
agreed to date me anymore.
Honestly, I am kind of surprised as well.
The sequel came out that Friday night, and it snowed like Thursday night,
Okay.
and her mom wouldn't let her go. So I took
He
a
took another girl.
girl I had been talking to right when we met with her best friend and my friend to the movies. And then the second date went, as you heard,
Yeah.
with the soccer game. So I still ask her regularly, like, why did you
were you
ever agree to
thinking? I
a
don't really
third
know.
one?
That's a good point.
I was 15. I'm like,
yeah.
I was the older guy.
I was like, I was 15. That's about it.
I love
Pretty
it.
amazing. I'm glad you
love
did, though.
I know.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
What about you guys?
I'm
What
kind
was
of glad.
first date?
I'm kind of glad you guys did too. First date. Well,
Well, we were set up on a blind date. And so
Oh, wait. I remember
it was kind
this
of
story.
thrown at us. Not to go into the whole story, but it was kind of thrown at us. So we ended up, the lady who set us up on a blind date wanted us to come watch her daughter play basketball. So we went to her game that night, and then we went to dinner afterwards, and
you forgot a very important part of this.
then we went to your house, and
When I picked you up, what happened?
he wouldn't leave the driveway until he saw my ID because he didn't believe I was 19.
How old were you?
I'm not going to jail for nobody.
He was 23 and I was 19, and he thought I was only 15. Swore up and down I was 15.
Still a
and was
little
like,
sketchy.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
I did tell her that was my pickup line. I said, "You're pretty, but not pretty enough to go to jail. Let me see that ID."
I mean, your dad said you were robbing the cradle.
Yeah, I just turned 17 and you weren't 16 yet. It didn't sound good.
No, it didn't.
It
I was
didn't.
like a month away from being 16.
Yeah, it didn't sound
It
good.
really wasn't that bad.
So is Chance wearing starched Wranglers and
no.
Cowboy boots?
He was wearing jeans and I'm sure a polo sweater.
Oh, okay.
polo sweater?
Okay.
Nice.
And he drove a.
I'm going to tell you right now, my brother-in-law is crying right now. If he's listening, he is crying right now. I had one sweater. One sweater.
And he drove a Camaro.
Nice.
All right. One sweater. Anthony had one sweater. Go.
Did you like to wear multiple polos with the collars
No,
popped?
I didn't do
No, he didn't do that.
Didn't do any of that.
Okay.
No.
Anyway. Yeah, so I drove 100 miles an hour in the snow.
It snowed, which doesn't happen often in Oklahoma, and it snowed that night, and he ran a stop sign. And I was like, did you see that back there?
But if you know me, that's my thing. I run stop signs. I don't mean
He
to.
says he was nervous. That's what he said, but
I was. She's hot. I was nervous. All right.
And she was 15, so you thought the law was coming.
Yeah. Where we go? I got to get her back by 8:30 by bedtime.
She's got 5th grade tomorrow. So, coming up, working in the trade, there's days where I'd come home pretty dirty. And our first house that we lived in had this little, like, square stoop back porch. And I came home one day covered head to toe. Like, we had to change out this nasty pump that's where all the gray water in this plant was at. And I stunk. So I get home and start into the front door, and she meets me at the door, and she's like, "You are not coming in my house like that. Go around back." So she meets me around back with a trash bag and says, "Strip down." I'm like, "I'm outside."
I don't remember
She's
this.
like, "I don't care. Strip down." So I had to strip down to my boxers on the porch.
Daggone.
So everything into the trash bag, and then I could step in the house, where she made me throw my boxers in the washing machine and run through the house to the shower immediately
The walk
to go
of
clean
shame
off.
in your own house.
My own house. She wouldn't have it. She was not letting me in.
No,
that's good.
I don't even remember that.
Oh,
She's erased it. She's not proud of it.
because you weren't the one standing half naked on the
True.
back porch.
True.
You're not scarred.
Yeah.
Nope.
That's good.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm going to go on some dangerous ground here. We let the daughters at the end of the day ask us questions.
Yeah, we did.
Is there...
You didn't prepare me for
I know.
this.
I'm like, I don't know that I'm prepared to come up with a question.
Well,
Let me think.
Maybe we should ask them questions first.
Oh no.
I always have questions.
yeah. I've got tons of questions.
You want to go first?
No, you go ahead. I'm reading the soul right now.
Don't stare at me like that.
Yeah.
What is your most favorite and least favorite thing about me being your husband?
Oh, wow.
I don't think I have a least favorite.
You have something you don't care for. It's
I mean,
okay.
there's always things that you do that drive me crazy.
Yeah.
But
Pick one.
If you need some, I've got a list.
Your list isn't relevant.
I have like pet peeves.
Okay. Let's hear
Okay.
a couple.
So one pet peeve, it's always been a pet peeve of mine, is when you leave clothes everywhere. I'm pretty sure that Pastor Ted actually talked about that in our, like when we got married in,
Where do I
in
leave
the
them?
sermon. You're better now. You used to be really bad about it.
Did I have like a trail like our son?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Literally, Jackson, you.
Oh.
Adult version.
Trying to see where you learned that from.
Yeah.
It kind of sucks when you look at your kid, you're like, that was me.
Yeah. It's your socks. That's the, like,
Yeah.
Sean, he really, really, really hates socks. And so when he gets home, he'll like lay on the couch and he'll take his socks off, and then they never make it upstairs to the dirty clothes, ever.
As soon as my shoes come off when I get home,
Yeah.
socks come off, and there's
you-
nothing on my feet again.
Do you take your socks off with your fingers or do you with your toes?
Depends on how I'm feeling.
That's a really random
I've
question.
done both.
I was just curious.
No, but I don't, like, I have pet peeves like that, but like,
Give me one more pet peeve.
you're really bad about, like, if something's empty, like you finish a gallon of milk or whatever, instead of putting it in the trash can that's right here,
not
you
where it
set
goes.
it on the counter,
Yeah.
on top of the trash can.
Can I step in here?
Do you do that same thing?
He's letting you know we need more milk.
Yeah.
I'm the
Okay.
one that goes to the
He
grocery
goes to the
store.
He's
Not the
reminding
case.
himself.
He
He needs more milk.
I'm visual.
But no, now it's rubbed off on the kids, and the kids do it now too.
Those little fools don't even take it out of the pantry where it goes. Like you'll open up the fridge and there's an empty thing of milk in the fridge, and you're like,
That's Ella. That's Ella.
"What is this?"
No, but that's like, I don't have anything that I dislike.
Ooh.
That's good.
What's the best thing? Ooh. What's your favorite thing about Sean?
He makes me laugh all the time.
Come on.
Nice.
Like, some of our conversations, if people were like a fly on the wall, would think we are insane.
Yeah.
Half of them don't even make sense.
Yeah.
But
That's fair. Pretty good at changing lyrics to songs and directing them at her.
Oh, yeah. He's real good at that.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. This is my people. This is the group I can have my toenail conversation with.
True story. On the back of a boat.
And you guys are very supportive. I don't know what I'm talking about, and you guys have always supported that, and I appreciate it.
All right. Amber?
I don't think there's anything I dislike. Again,
Yeah.
like with Megan, I have pet peeves.
That's untrue.
But no, there's not.
I get up at the crack of dawn.
And you are louder than.
That is not
Oh
a
my
pet
gosh.
peeve. You dislike that.
I do dislike that. Yes.
Are you that loud?
When he
what do you
gets
do?
up in the
I don't
morning-
mean to be.
When he gets up in the morning, if he doesn't, and it can be on the weekend, he's up before everyone, and he'll come in at 7 a.m. and he's like, "Are you going to sleep all day?" It's 7. Okay,
You're like,
I'm not going to sleep all day.
I'm at least
but-
going to sleep till 7:30.
Yes, and he can't stand it. Like, he cannot stand being the only one awake, and so
God, I wish I could deny that.
I love the quiet time in the morning by myself.
So here's the
he
problem.
does. But
I'm
he
up so early. I have my quiet time, and then I'm like, okay, it's got to be noon.
And it's like 6.
6:43.
yeah.
Okay.
I guess you guys are gonna
I
sleep
think
all day.
I mean, that is one of my irritations. But, and then when he makes himself something to eat or makes a snack and there's like a trail from him making, and I'm like, I just cleaned the countertop. Can you please clean up after yourself?
You know when you have those moments in your house when you feel like your wife's had a rough day, and so she's just kind of mad and she's yelling at everyone, and she's like, and plus, nobody cleans up after themselves, and you're like, oh, she's over exaggerating, and you look over the counter and you see the mess that you made,
Yeah.
and you can't deny that.
Tell me this. Have you ever heard Amber getting after kids upstairs and you're like down in the living room on the couch and you start moving because you feel vulnerable like she's coming to you next?
It's like that TikTok.
Let
He
me
did
tell-
it yesterday, actually.
Yeah.
No, it was this morning, wasn't
yeah,
it?
can we just break a dad code here? Let me tell you what we're doing. While you're upstairs handling business, I'm this like, yes, go, no. Yes, no. Am I jumping in the middle? Yes. I don't want to overparent. Do I help here? No.
You don't want her to come down either with you sitting on the couch when she's just terrorized the whole
Right.
upstairs either, because then you feel like you're next.
That's what gets mad at, right? You're like this, and then you're just sitting there, and she comes over. And she's like, "You're just gonna sit there?" I'm like, honestly, I got up 10 times. I didn't know what to do.
I'm going to out myself here. There's times where, because Megan will get on these runs where like everything has just gotten too much. So now she's, I don't even know the right way to phrase this to
I
really
like-
understand.
When I get super
You
overwhelmed,
angry clean.
I do. I angry clean. It's like I hyperfixate on like the things that I can control, which is cleaning.
Yeah, but it goes further than that because you'll start cleaning.
And then I'm like,
and then you'll be
cleaning-
4 rooms
yeah.
over and you'll have our closet ripped apart,
Yes.
completely redoing
I'm like,
it.
oh, I'm going to reorganize this entire
and we're trying to
room.
leave for dinner in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's gotten to the point where sometimes it'll happen and
I'm really bad about it.
I'll bypass Gracie's room and be like, hey, by the way, get your stuff right. She's on one.
Giving everybody a heads up.
And Gracie's like, thanks. No, I don't tell the other two. Jackson won't listen. He'll look at me and be like, oh, okay, whatever. So you get what you get because I know better. And Ella's feral.
Yeah.
And
She'll
she
tell
can
you where
handle
to,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, she'll go looking for it.
Yep.
Gracie's the one that'll appreciate it.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I don't know where to jump in and where to stop at. But you also angry clean.
I don't know that I angry. Well, I mean, I do, but
Yeah.
I think
That's why our
for
house
me,
is
like,
spotless.
I have to be moving at all times. Like I don't know how to relax,
Mm-hmm.
and when I do relax, I feel like there's a million things for me to be doing, and I shouldn't be
Yes.
just sitting
Then you
here
feel,
laying
you feel
here.
guilty about relaxing.
Hold on a second.
That
So
is
it's not.
absolutely
Yeah,
a
it's
thing.
not
Yeah,
that you
it's
can't
that
relax. You
guilt
feel guilt
of-
about it.
Yeah.
I mean, even this morning, I was cleaning out the kids' closet in the loft because
We're
it
trying
was
to
a
go to
train
Sam's.
wreck, and we were trying to get ready to go to dance, and I'm like, there's a mess everywhere, and
So full circle, this whole conversation, I wanted to mow this morning, and she was like, "Well, we need to run some errands." And I picked up that, hey, she just wants to hang out. So I'm like, dude, I'm in.
Yeah.
And so then I had to go upstairs and go, what are we doing here? You've taken everything out of the closet.
everything.
Like It is short of a paintbrush of just repainting that thing and then putting everything back in.
Well, and what's funny is if you don't have the main floor straight, you can't sit on the couch and relax.
No.
And I hit a point of doneness in a day. I can walk past all of it and go sit down because if I'm done, I'm done. And it can be back there and it's tomorrow's problem.
Yeah, no, that's not how my brain works.
I can't. Nevaeh's chore is to do the dishes. And if she leaves them longer than a day, I can't. And I have to do them because I cannot.
And she's like, Nevaeh won't do the dishes. And I'm like, she doesn't have to. She knows if she can wait 10 hours, you'll do it.
I can't do it.
I've called Gracie down in the middle of Megan doing it and said, get in there and take over.
Yeah.
So what's the thing that you like the most about Chance? We got off task.
Oh. This could take a while.
No, this is Chance. He is hilarious, and he makes me feel like I can laugh with him and be goofy, and we can laugh at the most ridiculous things that people would probably be like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
But we just like, there's times that we can giggle about something and then I'll get going and then he gets going and then we don't even know why we're laughing anymore. And
my favorite thing is when she's really mad, not at me, but at somebody else, and you just sit over there and quietly start going, ooh, I'm so mad right now. And she tries to be mad. She can't. She just has to laugh.
Yeah.
So
It's a joy.
as men and husbands and dads, we feel like we need to be protectors.
Oh, man.
It's something that runs deep in us. Do you guys value when we do things to make you feel safe?
absolutely.
And what does that look like? What are the things that you need from us to feel safe? Like real things.
I think for me, it's just knowing that that you have my back. That I don't necessarily need you to fight my battles for me. But that if it came down to it, you would.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, just knowing you have that.
Yeah.
I've got that button if I need it. Yeah.
I agree with that, but also I feel like the support and even being able to go to him with anything that I have, I'm struggling with this or I'm struggling with that or this is going on, and being able to know that I can confide in him. It's not going to go anywhere else. It's going to be a conversation that we have. And I can trust that he's going to help me pray about it, but also he's going to ask me, did you pray about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you seek God on this? And, I'm going to do the same for you or with you. And just knowing that he's got my back.
Come on.
There's a book that Sean and I read. I was in a Bible study and we read it. It's called, the one I read was for women only.
Yeah.
And he read for men only. And it's basically about how your spouse, like how they're hardwired. So like I was learning about how men in general, their brains work and vice versa. And the biggest thing I took away from that, or that I think we took away from that, was him realizing that I don't always need him to fix things. Sometimes I just need him to listen.
Yeah.
And a lot of times he'll ask me, he'll be like, is this something you need fixed? Or like, do you just need to vent? Like, no, I just need you to hear me.
Yeah.
And it's usually about something completely,
Because
unrelated.
we've all gone down the conversations with our spouse where they say whatever scenario and we go straight into fix mode.
Yeah.
And then we look confused when they get angry at us like,
Yeah.
what? I just gave you practical advice to make this
Right,
better.
I'm like, I'm not ready for that. I don't need you to fix it right now. I just need you to hear me. And then tomorrow we can fix it.
And can we just talk about how hard that is to shut off?
It's really hard.
I mean,
yeah.
it's...
Yeah.
I can have every intention in the world. And what's funny is I think it's just like that's how we're wired, right? I get emotional when it's you, right? But even if you were like, oh man, their trash is piling up.
Yeah.
My initial reaction, even at your studio, is going, do you want me to go take the trash out?
Right.
Like it's hard to shove down as a man, period.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
It is. It's how we're hardwired.
Yeah.
We're wired to fix.
Yeah.
That's why I think at times I've figured that out with him, that he will always have, well, let's talk this through, or let's, he'll give me his advice. And so now
Yeah.
I kind of do that same thing. I don't need your advice and I don't need you to fix
Right,
it. What I need is for you to listen to me, and then we can come back later when I'm ready.
Exactly, because I think it takes us longer.
But there's times that I just need to feel an emotion about, something, and I need you to let me feel that emotion. And then when I'm out of that and I've kind of come back to terms or whatever, a level head, then we can talk about it and you can give me your advice and your opinions. But until then, I don't want to hear any of that. I want to be angry or I want to be upset, and I just want you to listen to me.
Yeah.
Well, Sean and I are both list guys, right? Like I go to his office and I see he has a list, and that's me, right? I write everything out. And I think when you start telling a story, I start making a list.
Yeah.
Right. And then it becomes, all of a sudden it becomes this, you're not listening to me. You're not, and I am, but I'm listening to the wrong things. Right. Like well, just don't talk to her anymore. That's easy. Okay. What's next? Right. Yeah. Oh, well, you were right. She was wrong. So no need to apologize there. Right. And then you pray about it and you're like, that doesn't line up at all. But anyway, so I think that's what happens is I've really had to watch myself stop making mental lists, because she'll go, you're just thinking about what you want to say next. And it makes me mad because that's not true. But the truth is I am making a list in my head and going, okay, she was wrong about that. So I'm going to go back on that. That's not what I meant there. So instead of just listening to her, I'm just kind of crossing off my mental list.
So before we wrap up, what would each of you tell a couple that is young and just getting married? What is your advice in marriage if you were to have a young bride sitting across from you?
Communicate always.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Be honest, be open, tell them everything.
Yeah.
There you go.
And I think it's okay to not have all the answers and not it not to be perfect all the time.
Yes.
That marriage is messy, and that's okay. It's how you work through it.
Right. I think from my perspective, I'd tell a young groom, it's not weak of you to have moments of weakness and to let your wife carry you. We as men want to be the strong ones, and we carry the family. But the truth of the matter is we have things in life that knock us down. And as a husband, our marriage grew in strength when I was weak and allowed Megan to carry the burden for a minute.
Yeah.
And that is not easy, but it's so powerful when you let it happen.
Yeah. Hey, Megan, you hit one on there that you don't have to have all the answers. And that's a guy too, right? The husband too. And the minute that you're willing to be open and honest and communicate, here's how I'm really feeling. I mean, Amber and I would say the typical marriage, right? There was years where we didn't want to hurt each other's feelings. So we didn't say what we were really feeling. And then playing the guessing game. And then we went through a roommate phase where you feel like life is just here and you're just kind of Tuesday's Tuesday, Wednesday's Wednesday. And I think we've come full circle now where it's like, hey man, here's what you really did for me that really filled my bucket. Here's what you did that hurt my feelings, and here's how you grow from that. Right.
Well, thank you guys for being on.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. I think we could probably sit here all night. This is fun.
Yeah.
This is probably episode 1 of more to come.
I got a feeling we're going to turn these off and then sit here till 3 a.m. We should have left it on the whole
Megan's pretty
time.
exhausted for this week.
It's been a long week.
No doubt.
Awesome. Thanks for coming.
Thank you guys.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
All right.
Dad Advice out. Thank you for tuning into Dad Advice, the podcast where we explore the joys and challenges of fatherhood. We hope you found tonight's discussion insightful, entertaining, and hopefully helpful as well on your journey as a dad.
Hey, to stay connected with us beyond the podcast, make sure you check out all our various social media platforms. We're on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube and Facebook.
Or you can email us at dadvicepodcast@yahoo.com. Thanks, and hope to talk to you soon.